It's easy, for instance, to go from C to F, but there are some modulations that aren't so easy. For instance, to go from F to F sharp, you've got to weave through all sorts of things. If you've got somebody to help you as you weave, maybe this is just too philosophical. Maybe I'm trying to combine things that can't be combined, but it makes sense to me.
Hi. Happy New Year. All right, so firstly, I missed you. I hope you've been good. I'm sorry, I feel like I Irish goodbyed a little bit. I knew I needed some space. And I was very busy over the holidays, and I hope you had a Merry Christmas, or whatever holidays you celebrate. I ended up going out of town to multiple places and seeing all kinds of family, and yeah, I didn't even have internet half the time, and that wasn't where I was supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be putting my focus too far outside of me. Like further reaching than I can, you know. So yeah, I'd like to apologize for not communicating that. It's easy to do that, I know, but I also know that we're all adults and we all are allowed to take space. We're also coming up on Opal Oracle's birthday. Weirdly, I can't seem to, hi Ricky, do the math, whether it's 8 or 9 years. We started in 2017, so I guess it depends which way you count. Is the first year 0 or is the first year 1? Right? Or are we building to 1 or are we starting at 1? But either way, this is a full cycle for me, and I recently went to a ceremony and actually met one of you here, Deb. If you ever have an opportunity to work with her or to be in her presence, she is an angel and very gracious healer in our circle. So wise and kind. So I want to let you know, because this is a more intimate space, I'm sure some of you are also in this space because we are connected, right? I feel like we're in the same spirit tribe, if you will, or the same soul tribe. Some of those are overlapping, some of those circles are a little tighter, right? Maybe we've known each other a little bit longer in time. But most of you, we've either worked together privately, or again, you've been a part of this place, the majority, since the beginning, right? Since early on. And I thank you for, well, your presence and your patience and understanding and understandings. But right now, I've been feeling this for a while now. But this year, I want to start out this year a little different than I did last year, because I felt similarly last year, where I realized that there is this change coming, and I need to honor that. The changes, right? Right now we're in a shadow period, although happy solstice also, the the light is now growing, but it's still very dark. And Raven's been coming to me a lot lately, and I specifically, where I am, it lives here, but it doesn't necessarily show itself to me, but lately it has. And to me, Raven is, I guess I connect it to the native perspective of like the great mystery or the void. To me, it's a shadow energy. It can be a harborer of of beautiful like shadow magic in ways of healing, but it can also be a warning to protect oneself and one's energy, especially in this nocturnal time. Now, I feel like I don't need to ultimately explain myself to you, but because again, this is, maybe some of you are gonna like go hang out, or it could be helpful to like hang out with someone who really understands you. Maybe that's you even being here, but I also feel like whatever you have physically in your life is important. It's different. I mean, I'm seeing someone cry, like talking to someone and then like crying out of understanding, right? And I heard someone say, "Oh my God, thank you. I feel so understood." You know, I feel, you know, because there's a difference between someone asking someone a question and then, you know, say like an emotion coming from that versus an emotion coming through understanding ultimately. So the point of the story is I am in a, oh, some of you have to say this to yourself or you're here too. Let's just say it. It keeps coming like this. I am in a shadow time, and then I see all black, then I see stars. I will honor that. To me, this is also stating, I can only take this personally, I'm sure, because of the job that God has given me, which part of the reason I brought up Deb is because we met in person, and you know, she had never met me in person. She only knew me through here and like what can be seen here. I'm more than what I am here. You know, I'm just a human being. So if there's anything that seems like, you know, it's funny when we meet what we put on. Sometimes say we put something on a pedestal and then we see that it's just like they're just a person. You know, like for instance, I'm a very shy person. That's part of the reason I think God gave me this job. I do not speak well publicly. I have a lot of knowledge, but I don't know necessarily how to get it out of my mouth, which seems contrary, right? You'd think, oh, Raaji's really good at this. And it's like, no, I'm not. This is a test for me, and maybe to show bravery, to show you that you can communicate to, and the things inside of you, those two other people, etc. But yes, I am a very nocturnal person. I am very, pardon me, Platonian. I am very insular. I'm very like quiet. And with this being Opal Oracle's anniversary, whether it's 8 or 9, to me, in ways of the cycle of plants and life, it's in nature, right? The cyclical law. This is a time of releasing in some way and allowing the tree, right? Either the tree is losing its fruit, it's created fruit, and it's losing its fruit. Either way, it's that stage of it where it's creating like a new seed. And with this entrance into this new year, I want to spend some time with where I'm at in relation to what I'm connected to. And I need to do that quietly. I need to really honor that space, because if I just keep pushing, well, I just can't, and that's the point. I even tried to read, to do some motivational Mondays and things like that, and I was like, oh, well, if I can't post them, at least they're recorded, and then I'll post them when I can, things like that, but it's like I couldn't. So I'm taking this as the message of, if now we're in a stage where if we try to push, it's almost as if life is going to be like, nope, okay, it's not even I want to do this. For some of you, it might be I'm obligated to do this, or I feel responsible for this. And I'm seeing the word worthy. I heard what I saw. What do you feel unworthy of? Okay. So before we choose some cards, I also wanted to state that, so Opal's birthday is January 14th. She's, or he, I don't know what it is. Oracle is well, it's been a long journey, and I at least am going to take a break from that. I believe that the full moon is on that day as well, or right around there. So I at least am going to take a 2-week break from this space. I'm sure there will be people that fully understand and probably have their own lives going on and won't even see this until later and be like, oh, I totally get it. I'm sure there'll be some people, and I bet they are new, and that's fine too, but like they might be like, well, I'm not getting what I want, I'm out of here. And it's like, cool, okay, I'll make more. I'm down for making more space if that's what needs to be. It's like I'm trying to trust in the process whilst, you know, swimming through the void, if you will. And I see the word recalibrating, so that seems to be a collective message. Okay, so for some reason I saw the Eightfold Path. Excuse me. Let's see what the right view is. Oh, we don't actually need the cards. All right, so the right view, I'm seeing the Queen of Swords. The right view, that's the right view. So we can see something, we can understand something, but something's at a distance, right? There's intelligence there, there's awareness there. Queen of Swords is also very experienced in pain. The Eightfold Path is very similar to Jesus in understanding. I'm not schooled in Buddhism by any means. I know some of you are here. Please feel free to share. But the essence of it is similar to me, where it's like life has suffering, right? This life, I was just talking with a friend yesterday, where, you know, it's, and we've talked about this before, where I think sometimes we come into this life to feel, to cry, to get mad. Maybe God can't do that. I don't know. To love, to feel the cheek of a child, to wipe the tears from your own eyes, to feel your fingers in your fist, you know, to be, I just saw someone on their hands and knees, like crying on the floor, you know, like maybe wherever we come from and our Creator just can't do this, and so we do this. I mean, can we choose to make it whatever we wish, and do we have to feel every feeling that we have? No. Are we meant to learn how to control them somewhat? I would presume so. But that's a part of life, and so I guess some of you are also very clear in your own mind, but then you can view other people in their pain. And, you know, it's interesting being in this position here, having the opportunity to be able to experience this. Like, there have been times where, say like during 2020, I was in a really good space. I was weirdly, like 19, 20, I was in some of the happiest space in myself, but the whole world was falling apart. And then it's like, but most of my life, for instance, my whole world, me, was falling apart. And everyone else that I could see, I was just like, how are you happy? So there's this dichotomy that happens. I don't think that's always able, right? And especially this, okay, so I've been kind of having this moral dilemma. Maybe some of you are on the same path. It's like, okay, we go through this hero's journey, right? Like trying to heal ourselves and work through things and find our center and be, I don't know, mature about it. But reality always comes in, right? It's like a test. Like, we could be really happy and then your father dies, or your father gets really sick, or like, we're really happy, but our partner's going through a really hard time, or we're really sad, but everyone else, again, around us could be having, like, they all seem enlightened or positive, and you're like, you don't feel like you're allowed to feel your feelings because other people are feeling the opposite. So that's why it's really important to not be, I heard, afraid or ashamed, because again, we go through these different stages. And I feel like we talked about this in December. A lot of signs talked about the four wheels, which this eightfold path has 4 noble truths, right? Which is basically suffering. Then we have detachment, letting go of things, because the suffering is attachment, right? Suffering is, I can't let go of this. If I let go of this, I don't have this. If I don't have this, even if it's just an emotional connection or a memory, it's like we are sad about it, right? I'm still sad about Zumi, but I'm also a human being. Like, so it's interesting when we feel like we have found awareness, but then we're still not perfect, right? We can't hold that perfection in ourselves. And the thing is to me, is I don't think we're supposed to. I think we're supposed to be honest with kindness in our heart. Kind for ourselves and kind for other people. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like all of us here, I'm not a better woman in this life, I'm not allowed to, but if I could, I would say that most of us here it's natural for us to be loving and supportive and giving and kind of like trying to be perfect for others, right? I think that's partially why we're in each other's lives, is to either, hopefully it is, you are in front of me, you are a good example. You are a good example, which makes me want to be a better person, right? Now, of course, we have the opposite. That happens too. Like, oh, you're doing something that I definitely can feel is wrong. However, whatever the lesson is of why we needed to learn that that's inappropriate, maybe just a reminder, right? Because we, sadly, even though heaven on earth is a real thing, but the kingdom is within our own mind. And the second path of the eightfold path is intention. And I'm seeing the 9 of Swords. So there could be confusion around intention. What is the intention now? If you feel as if your intention is right on, right? And when I'm seeing intention, I'm seeing a TP, like someone's heart is the fire within the TP. So there's something personal going on with that, but I also sense that this could be something where, and we talked about that field, right? I'm being reminded of that field reading where it's like, okay, the world is fake, right? Right now we live in a world of illusions. We live in the Iron Age also. We don't live in the Golden Age anymore. We don't live in the Silver Age. We don't live in the Bronze Age. We are in the Iron Age. The rampantness of sin and of all the sins, lust, greed, sloth, all of it is huge right now. Do I think this has always existed? I'd say at least for 500 years. And how many generations is that? About 3 generations per 100, right? So 3 times 5, that's 15 generations. So that's a lot to work through and to carry in our blood, right? Whether you believe in past lives or if you're going right down your line like that. I need some coffee. Sorry, just a second. Let's put the prayer. I love a prayer plant. Do you have one of these? So there's some fear around intention with that Nine of Swords. So some of you may feel like you're not worthy again, or you are concerned about, because sometimes to me intention, like if someone say, what is your intention? Okay, my intention of being here is, my intention of doing this, and again, being here now, is, but sometimes we put intention into the future, right? Like set your intention, set your intention. But we make that, it's, the spiritual world's been getting kind of on my nerves in the way that it's being presented. I'm sure this is the way a lot of people feel about religion. It's like when the human starts messing with it and putting their words around it and acting like they know what we're talking about, right? Nobody knows God's name. No one can speak God's name, as they say. So it's kind of like, I feel like it's projected now in this way where it's like, put your intention out there, which is forward energy. It's more future. It's like magic, right? Like put your intention and then it came true. But that in itself, intention is in. It's where are you in this tent? We've talked about this too. This is coming through. Some of you are either, I know there's a few people are younger here, but it's like, I'm seeing like someone we're mostly women. It's like going through our cycles of things. Some of you are either on your menses right now, or like your periods are really heavy, or you're perimenopausal, or you're menopausal, or you just got out of menopause, and you're shifting. We're all shifting. And if you're a man, I guess you're more aware of this now, right? Luckily, we actually talk about this kind of stuff and don't lock women up anymore for being hysterical, right? For being expressive of what everyone else is hiding. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not supposed to be responsible for ourselves. I'm just saying, because that's also exhausting, right? I just went to a moon ceremony recently, and this woman was 52, my favorite number, one of my favorite numbers, and she was talking about menopause and how she's trying to explain to her husband that she just feels empty and she doesn't really have much for him. You know, she doesn't have much to give because she's empty in and of herself. And I think, again, didn't we talk about this too, like the cup? It's like sometimes, the Ace of Cups, my cup overfloweth. But in that, it means that there's some kind of hole in some kind of way. And we all need every cup, even a water cup that doesn't have anything sticky or poisonous or whatever unnatural in it, still needs to be washed, you know? And I'm being reminded of like in the Jewish culture in the Old Testament where they talk about like if something touches death, sometimes we have to destroy that cup. We have to make new pottery. Sometimes we have to just clean that cup and then clean ourselves. And and definitely taking space from everybody when we touch death, if you will. Now, of course, this can be literal. It can also just be the death of things. And again, that's interesting, actually, that the intention is 9. Let's read this. I hope you don't mind that we're just flowing with this energy. I feel like this is what we've used to do all the time. So, the 9th cycle. So this is intention, and I guess collectively this is what we're talking about. It says this is the closing year or the winter time of your cycle. One in which to reflect over the past years and to plan, not do, plan accordingly for the next year's sowing for the coming cycle. We'll read number 1 in a second. It says this is not a year to start anything new, as things are merely working under the surface preparatorily toward the next year's activities. It says, take it easy this year and learn to serve your fellow man. It says, this is the year in which to give, to work in service to your fellow man. If possible, travel some and explore the world around you and do not worry. Think and plan for the future, starting next year. Spend more time with your family, and especially if married. If not, look around this year, for it is particularly vital in close associations relative to the emotions. You will need to feel that something to think about. You will feel that you need more love and understanding this year. And specifically, this says July is a very emotional month, which could bring a test in this respect, or someone could come into your personal life. The way the stars are set up, the first 6 months of this year are really strong too. Saturn will be moving signs, Jupiter will be moving signs, Mars moves. Mars has been back and forth and zigzagging for quite some time and will be until June. The nodes shift signs. So there's a lot of changes. So it's almost like adapting a little bit more than pushing again. Because let's read 1. Hold on a second. The essence of a cycle 9, again, we're going back into this intention. It says, what fruit is not picked falls to the ground. During fall and winter time, seed pods are shaken by the winds and distributing their seeds for the next cycle and next season. Fruit lies under leaf mulch and rots, leaving seeds to create a new plant in the spring. And I feel like now until springtime, and I kept seeing this March energy, which I guess is the solstice. We have 2 eclipses that month, the 15th and the 28th. I feel like for all of us, we're really supposed to take our time and not push things. I mean, I heard do what you need to do what you must do. But I think in any like huge, and I'm seeing someone where, I heard they're the gardener of their own life, right? God gave you these talents, these little seeds in your pocket. There's a time and a place to plant, right? And again, I feel like we're sort of forced, or there's a lot of people saying the same things that are like, again, I heard set your intention, set your intention. But it's almost as if a person sort of understands that there's something about this where someone's just like, thinks that that's selfish. Let's move on. The next step on the path is the right speech. I'm seeing the Six of Pentacles. That emphasizes what the Nine just said. That is about giving. It's about being of service. It's not expending so much though. Like a healthy Six of Pentacles is not. The only reason why he's able to give to those two needy people is because they literally need it, and he has it. He has extra to give. Right? If he gave too much, he'd end up being the one that's begging and needy. Now, do we go through these ups and downs of needing and giving? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But so if the right speech is the Six of Pentacles, this also means that even a deaf mute, even one who could not speak, could have right speech, because we speak who we are through our actions. But I sense that because that Six of Pentacles, I'm seeing it so close to the Nine of Swords, someone could be, look, we're even doing prayer hands. It's like someone could feel like, is what I'm doing, is what I'm giving, is who I am, as what you do is your speech, right? If someone say, what do you do? And you'd be like, oh, I do this. I've been doing this. So in some ways, we're not supposed to talk about what we... Well, I see, we're not supposed to brag. We're supposed to be aware of it. Like what we give and what we need. And as this is in right speech, I suppose we, in ways of need, you know, that's kind of, that's interesting, because I'm thinking about being homeless. The times that I have been, the times that I have given to those in need, right? It's like a homeless person, for instance, I keep seeing them like sitting on a stoop or something. It's like they don't have to say anything to say, I am hurting and I am in need of some real basic things. They could ask for help. But they don't have to, we don't. But then I guess what we're talking about is compassion. But we can't expect each other to read, we can't expect each other, especially in our close relationships, to read our mind. That's part of the reason we have them, is to practice. Because I heard again, we're not supposed to brag. With that right speech with the Six of Pentacles too, I think there's some people in life, I'm seeing where like, there's a difference between saying what you've been doing. You know, like say someone volunteers for something. Be like, oh, I've been volunteering over there. That's a different story than like someone saying something like that to try to prove something. And I'm seeing the word dichotomy. Let's move ahead. The next step on the path is the right, is the right action, right? Right action. I'm seeing the Judgment card. Leo and Capricorn. So our action is to... Oh, interesting. I heard to praise Allah, which Allah I think means just God, right? Assalamu alaikum. That means God be with you, right? May God be with you. I probably didn't say that right, sorry. Arabic's hard. So a right action, I'm seeing those people come out of the coffins, you know what I mean? And being like, thank you. So the more we praise the day, the more we praise the opportunity to be in this life. That seems simple though, because I keep going back to that Nine of Swords, and that's the ego. That's the mind. That's like, because now I'm going back to right speech, and my lips are like buttoning. Because if this Eightfold Path, and I'm seeing Jesus, it's like, is suffering, is the enlightenment, right? Not that we can't come into this life with less suffering, but I find most people who have had to suffer greatly have a great opportunity for enlightenment. I mean, again, as we've said for almost a decade now, right? We're all on different points in the path. We all walk the same path, but it's our own path, you know? So, of course, excuse me. So sometimes it's hard in the midst of pain and suffering, again, in the void, in the shadow period. I mean, Saint Avilia. But in the midst of that, being like, thank you, God. And I'm seeing someone in a jail cell where they were a writer or like some kind of artist, and it's like they took away their means of expression, and so they actually took their shit and was like, or blood or something was like writing on the wall. It's like you can't stop me from connecting John, from connecting and being thankful for the lesson. But it's natural to the human, right? This doesn't feel good. I want to change this, right? You ever been laying in your bed? I'm seeing someone lay in a bed and there's like dirt on the sheets. You usually can feel that right away, right? You can always feel the thing that doesn't fit, that is uncomfortable right away. Hopefully we're not so numb to that we can, you know, no, thank you. Hopefully we're not so numb to that we, you know, can't see it. But you know, and I guess sometimes we're meant to acknowledge it and be like, oh, I need to clean that. Oh, okay. That's there because I did this. It's like having integrity, responsibility for the soul in this life. And sometimes that is, again, suffering. So if you happen to be suffering right now, because to me, if the action is judgment, that's a really big one. I mean, that could be, some of you are born again, or you're entering into a stage of being born again. entering into a new stage of deeper understanding spiritually, religiously. I see the soul, the heart and soul is like awakening. So if you happen to be, and I saw that Saint Avilia again, it's like if you happen to be in this more, I mean, we're all in this shadow period right now. So we've said this before, but if those of you here, if you happen to be one of the ones that are really happy right now, you're really strong right now, you feel confident in this shadow, then you're meant to lead. But even the strongest of the leaders, which we've talked about this too, like those who learn how to be okay with being in the front of something, which is being responsible, right? Not only for yourself, but for that which you're connected to. I heard, and not overly, like we're working that pentacle in the wrong way, that earth energy in the wrong way. But even leaders, we all have to take turns. To me, we are the geese. You know, it's like we all have to take turns in this energy. But sadly, some people want, I'm seeing where like someone's also aware of the world, of the physical world, and it's hard for the soul to be in this world. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't know. I feel, not even sometimes, most of my life I've felt very uncomfortable on this planet. This planet has a lot of pain on it, in it. Okay, let's move forward. I can't remember the fifth one. That's the Nine of Pentacles. If you look it up, that's the Nine of Pentacles. The sixth one is mine, I believe is... I keep seeing the High Priestess. I guess that means we're supposed to be quiet. Maybe we only, this eightfold path, if it's eightfold, that means that it's 4 folded in half creates the 8. It's like it creates its own mirror, so maybe that's as far as we're supposed to go right now. So remember, the right view is there. If you don't have the right view, the Queen of Swords is also a wonderful counselor, a friend to talk to, a really smart person, someone who has clarity and, again, wisdom. They've gone through a lot of suffering. They understand. It's someone that could be very much of help to you. Someone mercurial, or particularly air signs, could just, there's something about that. There's clarity either way. The intention, I really think you want to sit with that. What is intention to you? I think what are your intentions now is tricky. Again, and I feel like we're going back to that future energy, like, what is it all supposed to be? And it's like, well, maybe we're not supposed to see the future. I don't want to see the future. That's why I don't do predictive astrology. We can gander a little bit into the future, say astrologically, to like have a better handle on maybe some basic things to be aware of, but to ultimately predict the future, I've seen the future before. I've been ahead of time, and I didn't ask for that, technically, but I was shown that, and it made life so unbearably boring. You don't want to know all the answers. It's not good to know all the answers. It makes life, again, like feel, what's the point of living if you know everything that's going to happen? And so I guess that's where we're meant to trust. And I do think one way to get out of your head, if those of you who are, if you are depressed, again, you are the one, because Nine of Swords is not leading, right? Nine of Swords has some kind of mental misalignment. So there's something where spirit, because judgment to me has no air in it. It's not an air card. You know, it's an inside card. It's water. It's fire. It's spiritual. It's purely spiritual. It's not. It's spirit in this physical dimension, but in connecting those two things, right? Connecting these two worlds, as above, so below. That's the judgment. So again, I saw someone doesn't feel worthy. So that's something to sit with. Again, if you are in if for some reason in this time, I mean, there's seasonal depression, what have you, but like, if that happens to be the case, excuse me, try to get as much sunshine as you can on your skin. Get some fresh air. Go outside. You open up your senses, because I sense that the mind with that Nine of Swords is full of fear, and I think what's being asked here is to not take in any more information right now about something. There doesn't need to be more studying about something. It's healing the mind and where it's at. And that's also what Raven speaks about. So maybe some of you that you connect to that animal, I mean, it showed up right before this reading too. So that just may be something that could be of service to you as well. Or maybe you see one. I know they live twice as long as the crow. They live 30 years, which is Saturn. And they also have hundreds of calls. Right, crows only have a couple dozen calls for communication. Ravens have hundreds. So we're also expanding in the communication. So some of you could actually like find a counselor, or you're really connecting, or someone that is one of your teachers is very helpful right now. And again, remember, even those of you like, I mean, I just feel like a lifelong student. That's why it's hard for me sometimes to, where I think people actually see me as a teacher, but I am I am not a teacher by any means. I can share what I know. But I make mistakes like anyone else, and maybe that's part of that. Nine of Swords is like, if you're working through guilt or pain in that way, try to just work through one thing at a time, because there could be a lot that's projecting. And I'm seeing where there's a bunch of lights inside of someone's mind, and so that's a lot of electricity. And I think you want to unplug some things. And maybe that's a part of why we're supposed to also take space here, is just, you know, like I recently, to close this out, like when I was gone, I was trying to do work, and I was like trying to do what I could do. And then I was just like, I actually have a cell phone now, which I don't even want one. I want a friggin' regular house phone, the cord. I want to be grounded, right? It's all this weird stuff in the air, but I literally deleted all my work stuff off my phone, because I also realized that's also something where they've tricked us into bringing our work home, you know, and it's like constantly we're never disconnected from these things, and that's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. So right, we're in Capricorn time. Venus is in Capricorn. Mercury will be in Capricorn. It's the sun and the moon are in Capricorn and will be touching Pluto. It's some pretty strong stuff. Mars is opposing Pluto. It's really strong stuff in Capricorn, and it's good to take a break. So thank you for understanding. I hope this was helpful. And I'm seeing someone get up out of that bed, and they're like moving their arms like this. So maybe some of you were skiers or walkers or some kind of exercising. Could also be helpful. Not overextending, just moving in where we are. Again, I heard honor where you are. Honor it. Be honored to be where you are, even if that is in pain, because pain is the way to enlightenment. And if you feel like your pain is too heavy, I heard, please do not sit like that homeless person with their head down, not saying anything. Okay. I'll talk to you in a few weeks. Love you so much. Happy New Year. Peace.